That's like the number one question I get asked.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way, yeah. Yeah. Get out the way, get the fuck up out my way, yeah. Yeah. You either with me or against me, ho.
Cool, so I'm Brandin Cohen. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Liquid IV, which is a natural non-GMO electrolyte drink mix that you mix into 16 ounces of water. Born and raised in Los Angeles, California, moved around a lot, and now I'm back located in Playa Vista. So I worked in professional baseball. I always wanted to be an athlete my whole life. Played golf in college, thought I was going to be a pro golfer, had a really bad shoulder injury, so I wanted to stay involved in sports, and I went to go work for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I became friends with a lot of the guys on the team, like we had talked about. And they were all drinking Pedialyte, which is, you probably know, the baby hydration drink. And I thought it was silly that the best athletes in the world were drinking a drink that was designed for little kids. So and I wasn't like a science guy, I was just like a business marketing guy. And I was like, that's weird. Like, why are the best athletes in the world drinking something that's not designed for them? They have access to the best products in the world. So I looked into the science a little bit, and I talked to the nutritionists and the trainers, and they explained that when you mix sodium and glucose at a specific ratio, it helps water absorb into your bloodstream a lot more efficiently. And at the time, there was really nothing else on the market like it. And so, again, I did some research on the science. It was called oral rehydration therapy, which was developed actually in third world countries for mainly women and children who are dying from exotic diseases like cholera. And when they don't have access to like an IV like we do when we get like the stomach flu, this simple solution would help water absorb into your bloodstream about 3 times faster and more efficiently. So it was deemed one of the best medical advancements of the 20th century. And I was like, wow, this is like some revolutionary, like sort of secret science. What other products are doing this? And 5 years ago, there wasn't any. And so that was sort of the time I was like, what if you could like make a way healthier version of that? You know, take out all the crap, all the preservatives, artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, and then create like a cool like lifestyle brand around this. And it was just a very, very beginning idea. We got into one Whole Foods, and then the rest is history. We're in a lot of retailers. So we went from like 10 stores locally in Southern California to over 20,000 points of distribution. And so with all that scale, pretty much everywhere we put the product, it's flying off the shelves. But recently, for the first time, there's been areas where we haven't really focused our marketing, and it's not really our demographic. Like there are some like smaller like drug chains where it's just not the right demographic of people shopping there. And so for the first time, our product got pulled from a shelf, which was like, we've just been on this crazy hockey stick, and we still are, right? Yeah. But it was like, whoa, like we're on the edge, like nothing's guaranteed, you know what I mean? And so just dealing with that and like explaining that to our team, like what it feels like, when you have all this positive momentum, when you get hit, like it's like, oh, just got hit in the face. Like that's what that feels like, So it wasn't that big of a deal, but I think it was a good experience for our team.
Awesome. And what's a recent moment you're really proud of?
Well, I think we built a pretty like sustainable, responsible business, even though it's really, really high growth. And to be able to we decided to raise money to scale faster. And when you go out to raise money, you never really know sort of how that's going to go. I mean, I really believe in our story and our product and our science and our growth. But to get some like really big players to sort of fight over us was like kind of like a pinch me moment. Like all these people I looked up to are VCs that like I wish would talk to me 3 years ago who wouldn't return my emails. All of a sudden they're like battling to get in our round. And so to sort of get that, even though I feel like we're in a good spot to sort of get that validity is pretty cool. We got a group called Circle Up, who's like one of the premier like high growth consumer products, healthy consumer products investors. We got some professional athletes. We got Kygo, who's a DJ, and Scooter Braun came in as well. So to get some cool people involved like that only sort of like made me really realize like, what we're doing and the opportunity that we really have. I always fear that like, even though everything is going amazing, that like that tomorrow might be the day that things don't go right and fall apart. And it's like, I think it's part of what drives me is like, I want to keep pushing forward and keep growing because I just have this fear that whatever it might be, competition, or my whole thing is like, if you're not winning, like if you're not the number one brand, then you're losing. Like if we didn't go into Costco, like our competitor would have done that. So yeah, it was a big risk, but now we are leading the category. And so it kind of just drives me to make sure that we're always going to be at the top. A couple people, but probably number one is my dad. It's, I guess, a little cliche, but like he's just instilled in me like all of my work ethic. His story's crazy. He grew up on the Lower East Side of New York, carried a gun when he was 13, ran his dad's dairy shop. His dad was dying when he was like 20 and said, you can either run the dairy shop or you should go follow your passion. And my dad loved art and architecture. And so he moved out to LA when he was 21. He had $500 in his pocket. He started an architecture firm called Gensler that had like 200 people. And now he's the CEO of a 6,000 person company, Gensler. And so I was fortunate enough to grow up in a decent spot. He's obviously, as he's grown, as I've gotten older, he's become more successful. I didn't really experience that growing up, but he just instilled in me this work ethic that was like you can accomplish anything you want, but you gotta really go push for that. And so I had sort of this chip on my shoulder always, despite not having to carry a gun when I was 13. I just want to prove that I can accomplish just as great of things despite having a solid, a decent upbringing. Call it Change the World. I just got a tattoo, actually, CTW. Wow. So it's like our team's thing. Like I have this, we have this hydration product, and we have a really cool give back mission where we're helping people overseas as well who are dying from dehydration. But even more macro than that, like this is what I'm doing now, but I love people. Like I'm such a people person, and I love helping people, and I want it in the most scale way possible, help as many people live a better life as possible. And so it sounds grandiose, but 3 years ago when I told people we were going to do 100 million in revenue, that sounded grandiose too, and now that's right in front of us. So I seriously want to just help as many people as possible around the world, and right now we're doing it with our hydration product, but I have some bigger ideas I'm working on as well.
How was fundraising? That's like the number one question I get asked by people is, like, how'd you go about it? Or like we ultimately ended up not raising money. We raised money 12 years ago and we haven't raised since. That's awesome. But this, 18 months ago we went for a very large round and couldn't get to the terms we wanted, so we kind of walked away. Yeah. But love to hear like your story, because I think it's such a helpful thing for people to understand.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I get asked that a lot too. I was at this event last night and I was asked by this like younger kid, and the first time we raised money was just out of like straight necessity. It was like I didn't even know what it meant to go raise money. I was just like, we have this idea, it's working, like we got to figure out how to scale it, right? And so we did the normal thing. We went to like some family and friends and got a little bit of money that got us going. And then the way it's worked every time, I'll separate my first few rounds from this like more institutional round, but I never actively raised money. It was like we were growing, we had a plan. Our plan was sustainable without cash. And then we're like, it's working, like we could scale faster. And it ended up, most of the time, ended up being like people in our net, like it was like suppliers, like Scott Emerson normally does our logistics, but he's like, well, I don't want to miss out on this. Yeah. So he led a $2 million round. He put in like $250K and was like all his name behind it, right? Yeah. He got behind it, and then like the CEO of like our marketing agency was like, well, I want to get involved in this. I also learned some lessons not to take money from suppliers. Yeah. That's a different story. So that first like couple $1 million that we raised was like, I'm fortunate to say this, but like we never actively raised money. Like I put like kind of a deck together, and I kind of went to these meetings, and I think our story, and like I get super excited and passionate, and like it's just I can't be anything other than that. And I think our brand and our story and our growth spoke for itself, and I think they wanted to do business and be a part. They didn't want to miss out on something. Yeah. This last round was a little bit different, so more like where you went out to do it, right? Yeah. So Circle Up actually reached out to me, just like cold reached out to me at like the end of last year, and I was like, hey guys, we're good. We don't need to raise money, but I'll let you know if things change. And like 2 weeks later, Costco reached out to us, and they're like, we love what you're doing on Costco.com. We'd love to roll you out nationally. And so Costco in the retail world is like, the scale of Costco is like not even close to anything else. Like I'm in 20,000 doors, and the 200 Costco stores I'm in do like 60% of that business, which is crazy. And so that's when it was like, hey, this is like that perfect moment. We have the leverage.
Yeah.
We have the POs coming. We need to scale. And so I went back to them, and I'd always liked them. I had reached out to them before, and so we kind of opened it up. We just sort of told people that we were raising money, and the first people who reached out to Circle Up are the ones we ended up going with. And so my whole thing, and I told this to this kid last night, I was like he was asking about his deck, and I was like, deck's important.
Yeah.
Like, he was like so obsessed with his deck, and I go,
no one's investing in a deck.
you gotta get in person.
Yeah.
Like, especially for me, because I know that's where that's my strength, right? Like, the deck should be a teaser, like get them interested.
Yeah.
But like when then they ask me for financials, I'm like, hey, let's get together and let me walk you through that. I told them I flew across the country so many times just for an investor meeting, because even first of all, it weeds out the people who aren't serious. They won't take a meeting if hey, let's get together in person, And so my whole thing was in person meetings. And to be honest with you, we never really, and I don't mean to, I'd say this humbly, we never really got to know. Like, people wanted to get involved, and then we kind of were like selecting who was the best, most strategic people to take capital from.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be different in the future, but we were fortunate enough to have that opportunity.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think that's when you have a product that's resonating with people. Yeah. That's the time. I always say that you will know the time or how to raise money when someone's willing to give you money.
So true.
Otherwise, if you're asking for it, it may not be the right time.
So true. People want to give money, the people don't really need it.
Yes, it's always the case.
Right?
Yeah.
Banks are the same way.
Yeah, like no one, like when I needed a loan, no one would give it to me.
Same.
It's like,
my whole life until now the banks are hitting us.
Yeah, of course. As soon as they see the headline, oh, they raised money. Would you like a lending facility?
Exactly. Right.